Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Attila Total War and our little checking out how to survive as the Western Roman Empire. Now, I checked my diplomacy down south here, and I figure that I can probably get by without my army down south here. These guys are extremely likely to be close allies. These guys are pretty likely, and these guys are quite likely. All of these guys are quite likely to be firm allies and not attack me in the back. So we're going to build up our reputation with them as much as is possible, try and make it so that they like us as much as possible so that we don't get invaded from the south here. And by doing that, we could dismantle our army down there. That's going to give us the extra guy who's going to be coming back here. That's Quintus Symmachus. He is an administrator, which is a very good trait to have. And he's got a little bit of extra zeal, so he's going to become an administrator for us. And that's going to be perfectly fine. Additional 4% tax rate and +1 public order, so that's going to be quite good for us. Other than that, I went back, redid a little bit because, the way saves work on Legendary, they don't, so couldn't save my progress. But one of the things I did slightly differently is I remembered to get the step levy on this army and to fill up my other 2 recruitment slots with 2 of these units of Limitanie Border Guard. So when these guys are roaming through your areas, you can actually get some units off of them, so it's a good idea to do that since they're relatively cheap and they've got low upkeep. These guys are not the most hostile to me, but they are pretty hostile to the Eastern Roman Empire. Either way, they tend to be relatively peaceful, but we still want to stamp them out when we get the chance because you just never know. I mean, actually, these ones are unreliable and aggressive, which is different from usual with them. They seem to dislike the Eastern Romans more than they dislike me, though, so maybe I can use that to my advantage. So, in any event, we're pretty much ready to go up to war with both the Caledonians and the Quadians. That's just going to help us get a more secure lid on our base, so we're going to go ahead and hit the end turn button and see what happens. Now, the Franks may declare war on us, other unpleasantries may happen. The Caledonians have done something that is quite unfortunate, but also something that is fortunate, in that they've moved their second army there. Now, the Vandals have moved into my territory, and this means that I cannot actually take on the Swabians just yet. Looks like the Franks aren't interested in fighting me just yet, which is fine by me. Alright, so this is going to be an interesting turn, because some things that don't necessarily normally happen have happened, and we're just going to have to roll with that. Alright. Looks like we've managed to avoid any crazy wars so far, which is good and bad. One of the problems that I have with this particular start is a lot of the landed peoples are defensive and reliable, which is good in a certain sense, but bad in another. It's almost impossible to get a defensive, reliable friend to go to war with an enemy state for you. So we've managed to adopt Flavius Neotaurus, which is very good. So as you can see, he's now a part of the family. The reason that we've adopted this guy is that he's political animal, and this means that he's going to be increasingly getting more and more more political support without having to really do all that much. Since he's a governor, he automatically generates more influence without having to do anything in particular, so he's going to wind up with a lot of influence. And with political animal, it also costs him less to use these political actions than it would if he was someone else. So that is all very positive. Now, the next thing is we've also got another governor, but we're going to leave that be for just a little bit here. We're also going to go ahead and get our research going here. Governor's estate is the good thing from legal science, but the 3% from cultural buildings is completely trash early on. So we're going to go ahead and get tributary servants first. And then we're going to swing back around and get legal science just so that we can get the Civil 1 bonus here. Alright, so we're going to take these guys off of forced march because we don't want him doing that. We could potentially use him as the primary army, but I don't remember if he reaches or not. Looks like he does. I can't see behind that label. Looks like he does not, in fact, actually, so that is going to be our backup army. So for that reason, we're going to go ahead and add our 2 units of step levies to this army. And that is going to be lovely and fine. We've got a ton of money here, and we still don't have any quite yet incipient rebellions. The next one is going to be in Lugdunum. Whatever, that sounds like an awfully British sort of place, but whatever. We're actually going to send our priest over towards that region. I'm debating sending him either to there or Terrico, because those are the places that tend to give me a lot of trouble. I think I'll actually send him to Lugdunum, because Terrico, I'm going to be investing more money in fixing that. Now, this guy, on the other hand, is like right beside the place that he has to go, so I think I might even be able to put him in stance. So, Tarentum is going to be getting a little bit of a bonus from the Inspire Populace bonus, so that is lovely. Magna Graecia is just about settled just from that, and that's going to level up and become more powerful over time, which is good. The other place that I want to sort of look around at things, so they've got a total of 20 units here against my 12, but I've also got a garrison here in Eberacum, which is 4 units, and my units on the whole should be generally more powerful than, for example, these Celtic Brigands. Celtic Brigands are not actually that bad. Celtic Band are quite cheap, but they're cost-effective, so I can't underestimate them too much. It looks like a lot of the mercenaries have been bought out already, and very disappointingly, the Onager has also been bought out already, which is going to make this a little bit more difficult than I would honestly like it to be. But with these 2 units, I could get up to a unit count of 18, so I would be outnumbered by the Celts. So it would be a question of whether or not I could kill one of these armies off before I had to swing around and kill the other one, which would not be good. Alright, either way, Quintus Symmachus, he's an administrator, so he's going to be quite good at this. Unfortunately, he has got plus zeal, which does nothing for administrators. But we're going to go ahead and go into offices, and we're going to make him the regent of Lusitania. And we're going to go ahead and put Lusitania into the same sort of thing. And we're, again, picking places that are sort of in the same region that have a lot of growth potential. And this place does have quite a lot of growth potential. With the capital, it's going to be earning a lot of income. I can get this undeveloped land up into something useful this turn, potentially, but we'll figure that out a little bit later. And we're going very, very carefully here. Again, we want to make sure that we're doing everything very deliberately. Now, it's very important that you get this guy out of forced march stance. If you have him in forced march, move him in there. He's going to be locked in his movement as soon as he runs into the enemy sphere of influence, which I don't necessarily know where it is. Like, you could guess based on where the city is, where the city sphere of influence ends. But at the same time, there's also potentially going to be an army nearby, so that would completely ruin our ability to do that. So here you can see that we've got this big army here, and we've got our little army here, but we've got the ability to, again, get some mercenaries. Now, typically you want to get them all focused into Legio 1 Edutrix, however you want to talk about it, doesn't really matter. And we can, it seems, reach the back army here, the Hammer of Donner, which would be a good idea, since that way they don't get the fortifications to their city, in addition to whatever else they have. So what we can do is we can go ahead and collect up these mercenaries, and there are very few mercenaries in this map here. And we can go ahead and move. We want to get in position so that we can join that attack. Actually, no, because we want to attack Nitrawa just because I'm going to have an awful time trying to get this army in distance to support. So we're just going to go ahead and attack Nitrawa. The other thing is that this way I can right-click here safely now without buying all of those mercenaries. Let's go ahead and stay there. Alright, and we can buy a couple more mercenaries, it looks like, so we're going to go ahead and buy those. I've got small unit sizes turned on. If you're wondering why, it's because I don't want Fraps to be completely demolishing me while I'm trying to play this game. If I were playing this game on, like, high settings while Fraps was running, I was sort of worried that it would just sort of completely demolish my settings and make it so I couldn't play. But besides that, this is going to be the trickier one, so we'll have to figure out how we want to deal with that. I'm not really sure necessarily how I'm going to, but either way, before we engage in war with the Quadians, what we want to do is find out who is willing to help us with our fight against the Quadians. Are these guys at war with the Jutes now? Danes, okay. The Bastardians might be willing to help us. And the reason that we're doing this is, when you're fighting people that are at war with a lot of other factions, it makes it so that your public relations with them goes up faster. So, for example, if I got the Abdanians over here to join the war against the Quadians, and I defeated the Quadians, they would like me more, which is a very useful political tool, especially if you choose to, like, completely annihilate whoever it is you're doing that to. Oh man, this is... I'm not going to be able to get anybody to do the join war thing. It's just not going to be possible, it seems. Let's see if we can get these guys to join a war against the Quadians. Moderate? They've rejected that. And let's see if we can get these guys to do it.
Speak. Do not waste time. Better
no. Alright, so that's everyone that could realistically join. The Markomans actually like the Quadians more than they like me, so they're definitely not going to do that. The Ostrogoths we're already at war with, so I can't do anything as far as that goes. I managed to get convinced the Picts to do it so that they would potentially like me a little bit more. But other than that, like, there just aren't very many factions that could do that. Now, the Swabians are defensive reliable, so I might not want to crush them, especially since their allies, the Vandals, are rampaging through my lands. Which is never fun, honestly. Now, if I could get these guys to fight the Ostrogoths, that would be fantastic, but yeah. Like, this is the problem that I have when everyone's defensive reliable. I just don't like that sort of thing all that much. Alright, so what have we got here? We've got some weak cavalry. They've got a ton of Germanic Levy, which is a pretty medium-tier spear unit. They've got javelins, and they've got pretty decent all-around stats. I would say that they're a little bit worse than the Limitane Border Guard. But they're probably better than my Steppe Levy by quite a bit, and they're trash compared to cohorts in melee combat. So we've got some advantages, we got some disadvantages. We're probably going to take this battle relatively head-on, just sort of move right in, because, I mean, they've got these Germanic bows that makes it impossible for me to sort of hide back and siege them, especially because they've also got these Germanic hurlers, but... I mean, this could be even one that I elect to auto-resolve, because we would instantly win it. But if we look at the map here, we've got this little bit of a problem back here in that this army will escape and become a wandering faction leader. So we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that we've got as much of everything done as possible. Now, what I'm also going to recommend is you go through your building browser and you do all your civil stuff before you actually go into that fight. And the reason for this is, when you're doing your building stuff, you have to completely redo it if something happens and you, like, quit the game or whatever. But when you get in a fight, it autosaves. So that's a good way to avoid lots of little conflicts here that you would otherwise have to get into. Alright, so here we're going to go ahead and pick the Sanitation Belgica way up here. That's too far away for me to really worry about right now. Britannia Superior, we're not going to worry about there. Carthage, we're not going to worry too much about that. And we want to focus again on this region here. It's pretty unhappy here. We're going to go ahead and demolish this local industry, and we're going to convert that into a church. Our food needs here are not particularly high. That's the one nice thing about Christianity, is that they don't, you know, Christians, they don't eat much. They're very anemic. I don't know why. Anyway, we were demolishing the workshops here because we wanted to get that replaced with a different building. Over in Italy, we finally got our food sorted. We're making less money because we've demolished some of the stuff here, but you know what, whatever. Liguria... Again, this place is actually quite happy, so that's very positive in our favor. Over here, things are going okay. What we can do is we can develop this land and we can add a local church to it. That will help stamp out some of this ridiculously high unrest that we've got here. If we look here, religious differences is actually quite a high penalty here, so this is actually more like a +4 to religion or to public order or whatever you want to call it. Alright, and over here, we can do the same thing over here. It's going to be a little bit better here because we've also got bread and circuses and a good governor. So I don't need to focus on this place quite as much, but I still want to increase the public order of this region here. So it's going to cost 4 for either of those, but it would cost 3 for this. Actually, I could also go ahead and put in just a waterworks, because we do need one of those, and we're going to be helped out quite a bit by the governor, so that's fine. Magna Graecia is sort of as it is. I actually even need to upgrade this pretty soon because the sanitation out problems are here are quite large. Increasing it to the latrines would potentially be a good idea here, just so I could get that growth bonus and try and get these all upgraded and then switch it over to whatever tier it happens to be. But we've got quite a lot of money to spend, so I'm not too unhappy about that. Alright, so... At this point in time, what I'm sort of thinking about and sort of focusing on is where I want to build my churches. You might notice that this is a level 2 city here, a municipum. The reason I'm doing that here is that this is a highly contested zone. The fact that it's a level 2 city means that I get a much larger, beefier garrison. I could upgrade it again, but that would just give me 1 extra unit of Sagittarii archers. And the Sagittarii archers are okay, but they're not great or anything like that. With only 14 ammunition, they're not going to be holding out necessarily all that well. So you want to keep this one here, because there's a big difference between level 1 and level 2. Rates at Noricum, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and build a capital there just because it's so unhappy here that I kind of need to do something about the unhappiness effects there. Rates at Noricum, I can't, or Terraconensis, I can't do anything about that right now. That's fine. And Africa is going to be a pretty big problem for me for quite some time here. I can't even really get a religious building built here yet. I could actually destroy some fishing jetties because the food surplus is a little too high, and that would reduce the unhappiness from the fishing jetties. But we're not going to worry about that just yet. What we're going to do is we're going to just send legions down there when we need to deal with those problems. And Venice over here, we're going to see that bouncing into the positive happiness once this capital finishes. So we've got a lot of things that we have to sort of micromanage, and I do need to be careful about how I'm doing this because our income is dropping quite a bit. It was over 5,000 the last turn. It is now down to 3,246, which is a lot lower. That is the potentially problematic zone here. Alright, Srenarius, that is actually incredibly good. We're going to get this guy. That's going to be one of our purchases. We, again, want to make sure that we're going to the right place for commercial wealth. And I suspect that we've already sent our guy down to the place that has the highest commercial wealth. But, you know, actually, no. Insulae Occidentalist probably has the highest commercial wealth. No, it is Magna Graecia. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so we'll move him down there, and we'll move our other priest elsewhere later, but for now, we'll start moving this guy towards there, and then we'll move this guy probably through Tarentum down over to Africa. I think that would be reasonable. Down to Carthago. That would be a reasonable means of dealing with the situation, because what was this guy's trait? Healthy, that doesn't matter at all. Scholaris, and so it doesn't matter at all where this guy ends up going. Alright, so that is most of our money down the drain, down the tube. At this point in time, I'm really just going to look for places that have openings for me to build things. This place, I could build a church here. That would be potentially quite good. But we'll go ahead and look for other places first, because this place is getting an orchard, which is +3 public order already, so it's kind of getting a boost to that regardless, without my intervention there. Belgica is going to be somewhere that I'm going to have trouble with the buildings for quite some time. Britannia Inferior and Britannia Superior. I could actually go ahead and build a church over here, and that would help out a little bit. I do also need to make sure that I'm not building too many churches because they do have an upkeep cost associated with them. This place over here, I don't really feel like we need to build anything in particular. We've got good sanitation here, so what I can actually do here is upgrade this to a vineyard, and that would increase our public order and increase the amount of wine we're producing. So that would increase the public order, but also earn us more money, as opposed to churches, which cost us, of course, a bit of money. It's like Occidentalist. We could still build something here, undeveloped land. The food here is okay, currently, or we could actually even go ahead and switch that out for a different building if I could afford that. But spending 1 food here is relatively inexpensive and is probably a good idea. Again, we can probably go ahead and build a church, a Latin baptistry. So that's going to be pretty much all our funds. We'll drop back one of the buildings if we have to for whatever reason, but we should be okay. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this fight with the Quadians. And we're going to have to fight this one manually, just because I have to guarantee that I kill this guy over here, who will be showing up as a reinforcement unit. So anyway, I will actually, you know, I'm going to try this on a higher unit setting. If it doesn't work, if it crashes my computer, I'm going to go ahead and restart. Since it's auto-saved here anyway, and if the battle is too buggy, I can alt-quit out and try again with the lower setting again. So we'll get back to you as soon as I figured that out. Okay, welcome back. So as it turns out, setting your army to the full size actually does require that you completely restart the game, which is kind of crazy, but you know, whatever. So anyway, yeah, we've got this set up here. Some changes have happened, like we've got less trade agreements than we did in our other sort of playthrough, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, that's not actually a big deal. So yeah, we're going to have to just continue along, but one of the things that is of note here, we still actually are at peace with everyone in Africa. I find that this is actually surprisingly common. I don't know why, but they tend to have the either admire strong empires or they're tolerant to empires. So that flank is usually pretty secure. I don't have the security from the Abdanians, so we're going to be doing something about that pretty quickly, but we're, for now, going to focus on our little battle over here. One of the other differences is I've gotten one less unit from the Blades of Grass. Normally I can recruit from them this turn, but they moved out of my province. They're just on the border of it in this Rune province, and the Ostrogoths have showed up. They're being put in check a little bit by Sirmium, which is holding them off. Now, Sirmium is a level 2 city, and this is one of the ones that I don't break down, because I knew that I might have to fend off the Ostrogoths, and it's also a good spot to hold off the Huns. So this is a walled city, so this is going to be much harder for them to just take, although likely they've got a catapult, so they might be able to take it anyway, but it's got a stronger garrison than normal. It's got, you know, as well, it's got catapults, so those are all going to help defend the place just quite a bit more than it normally would be able to defend. So here we're going to go ahead and yeah, let's try and take the city here. If we were to sort of look at the odds, normally I would have 2 more units, but they've got 19 units. They've got the 1 extra general, and they've got a garrison force of 3 units here. I believe it's Germanic Levy, Germanic Bows, and then Germanic Slings is their standard garrison. But in any event, let's go ahead and jump in here. I've bought pretty much every single mercenary in both provinces, so that's as much as we can get as far as that. Now, it is important that you check to see where the reinforcements are going to be coming in from. You start off facing forward directly, and your opponent starts off wherever they're going to start off, you know, in the garrison, but his reinforcements are going to come in from my right, and my reinforcements are going to come in from behind and to the left, so at a bit of an angle there. And it can help you just save time, or it can help you decide where you're going to attack or whatever. But in this particular case, I think we're going to use them, just bring them up, reinforce and attack with everybody all at once. They have got a bit of a missile advantage against us, which is unfortunate, because those Germanic bows are very good. But we'll have to try and bust our way through there as best we can. I do really wish I had the extra 2 numbers, though, in this particular fight. That would actually help quite a bit, the 2 extra spear units that I would have had if I had managed to recruit from natives. Or steppes tribes, rather. Alright. So my computer does perform a little bit worse when it's on ultra set or the large unit size settings. Not so bad that I can't play it, but I definitely won't be showing you guys every single battle I fight. It's just they're very repetitive anyway after a certain point in time. But yeah, it's gonna be sort of the way it is. Dry's fine with me. The other effects, the particle effects, for example, can actually make my influence my performance worse. We're getting reinforcements from my left, so probably around over here somewhere, I think. So it would make sense for us to attack over on this side, because attacking this side is actually brutally hard anyway, so we kind of want to attack on this side. The problem here is that, like, it's exposed to this ridge here, which he can defend, and, like, the Germanic villages are actually absurdly well positioned compared to the other ones. Like, the Roman ones are very flat. They don't have a hill like this to defend. It's just sort of one of the advantages, I guess, of playing as one of the Germanic tribes. I'm not really sure if that's intentional, but it definitely is the case. Alright, so we got ourselves a good chunk of cavalry of various sorts. They're not necessarily going to be as useful here as we would normally like them to be. We've got our line of skirmishers, got our line of melee that we're just going to line up behind them, and our generals. So that's going to be sort of our start. We're going to wait for our reinforcements to show up, at which point we'll sprint forward to see how things go. Looks like our opponents are making a bit of a stand right out front here, which is fine. I can't tell the pathing that would have to... I'd have to take to get to this.
Friendly banners. Our reinforcements arrive.
Alright, so let's have these guys head on over here. Now, I don't know where their reinforcing general is, but he should be beelining it to the town. And we'll be able to intercept and kill him, I guess. We'll just kill him while he's in the town, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so I think that means that their reinforcements have shown up. But let's see. Well, we could send our cav around back and see if we could get into these Germanic bows or something like that. And we've got some raider cavalry as well, so they're highly effective against turrets. They destroy them quite quickly. So we're going to try and send our skirmishing cav, in particular, all our cav really, around this side. And we're going to see if we can't do a little bit of extra shenanigans. We want to keep our guys out of the range of these towers, which is actually quite large. Let's see if I can figure out the radius of enemy towers. Yeah, I can. So it's just at the edge of this road, basically. They can't attack quite there. But one of our units, also a raider unit, they seem to have just arrived. Shoot. There's their actual... whatever. I'm gonna let that slide. Apparently I could have ambushed him just like right in my deployment, but whatever. But yeah, we want all of our forces to sort of be together for this attack. For pretty obvious reasons. But let's see here. Yeah, it looks like I can just slip up here, get at that tower. For now, though, it looks like they've got quite a garrison defending that. That means that that's forces not up at the front, though. So that can be used to our advantage to a certain degree. I've got the timer on since I don't like having unlimited time battles. But it's not going to work in our favor in this particular instance. Alright. We want our skirmishers actually in a bit of loose formation here. It's quite a long distance as well that our skirmishers and our army in general have to move up. Now we could start moving in and start peppering these guys with javelins rather. We do want to either kill the general or kill those axemen as a priority. But at the same time, we don't want to go in there with just these guys, because they'll just get counter-pushed by the enemy, and they've got the tower there, and we don't have anything to take at the tower early, so we do definitely need to be a little bit careful. Now that these guys are here, it makes a little bit more sense to try and sort of rush their position, because if we do rush in here, we'll have a chance to destroy that tower quite quickly thanks to the raiders. They do very good damage against that sort of thing, but they do have a pretty solid grasp here, depending on how this terrain, what this terrain count says. Yeah, a lot of this is impassable, so this is actually a very narrow channel for our troops to try and go through. But we are going to have to go through a choke point at some point in time. So what we're going to do is start sending in our first line of troops here. And that's going to just be the way things are. Going to bring in our second line of troops over here. And we're going to bring these guys up to just skirmish a little bit. And we're going to have you guys attack this tower directly. Let's actually move a bit slower than that. We don't want them getting targeted too early. Actually, we want to use the capture power, I suspect. If you capture the tower, they explode, basically, for no good reason whatsoever. Let's have you guys as well head on up here. Want to get you guys up there fastish. I could bring the spear cavalry back here, the light shot cav, because they're actually quite excellent at just breaking through enemy lines. But we'll see. Now they have got cav right there, which is a risk, but I'm bringing my spears up as well. Let's get our cohorts sort of doing this. Let's have these guys walk up here. Now, because our enemy has refused to actually sort of march his units from his back lines over here, we might be able to do some good damage. But we are taking quite a lot of damage as well from these towers here. Loose formation, it's going to reduce our damage from missiles a little bit. But his unit that I want to prioritize is in his back line, so I can't really focus it. So we're just going to peg at his front line there a little bit. Going to get our general up here. We're going to get our second line infantry back here, but we're not going to necessarily attack with them. Oh man, there's some slowdown. Why are you walking up so close for a ranged attack, you guys? God damn. Okay, let's move back with these guys. It looks like he's countercharging a bit with his cavalry. I'm going to go ahead and tighten up our formation. I think that's affecting our ability to fire here. Okay, so we're going to aim at those cav there. We're going to also bring in some spear infantry. Okay, I think he's walked his Germanic band into range here. He's starting to move people away from that tower over there. Jeez. Stop moving up, you goddamn skirmishers. I'm going to move this group up here. But we do want to get this guy's capture power into that tower. Since they've got that excellent capture power, they should count a little bit more for it. Oh, they took a lot of damage getting in here, though. Okay, we want to break some units quickly here. We can see some units starting to waver a little bit, so if we can get that going quickly, we should be in a good position. Okay, we're gonna get these units up here. Their cav has, or their, they formed a bit of a response against that cav, so they're sort of surging forward a bit. Okay, so you need to run. And we're going to get these guys to go ahead and charge. Yep, the tower's destroyed, that's good. We need to get out of there with these guys here. It's going to cause them heavy casualties running, but yeah, there they start retreating, but that's as expected. Okay, when we can actually just let these guys retreat, it doesn't really matter.
A fire rages through the enemy settlement. And running! Riders, forward! The enemy is going for our general. Protect him.
Go. Oh. Actually, let's get these charge calves set up for a good charge. We'll counter-attack when we can. Go. Some of our cohorts are taking some pretty heavy beatings here. Now we're getting blocked on a lot of our shots, so our units are not shooting as much as I'd like them to, but not a whole ton we can do about that. Got our mounted brigands that can shoot at the enemy cav here. Get our lancers out of there, since they've done their charge.
Our men run from the enemy. This is shameful.
Don't think we have a very clear shot against anything in particular, but we can try to get a slightly better line by going up here, I think. And then again up here. We seem to be using up our ammunition somehow, so that is good. This Germanic mounted band is really sticking around, taking hits. Usually those javelins do a lot of damage. Okay, so it's going a little bit better now. Alright, so we got those Germanic hurlers.
The unit is running from the enemy.
Alright, so let's actually get this cav around here as well. We're going to start bringing in our second wave of infantry, because our first wave is pretty much breaking here. Okay, our mounted warband. We're actually going to charge into these guys over here.
This is a shameful display.
Alright. Oops.
The men's resolve is failing.
Enemy general is dead? Okay, that's going to help things a lot.
Return to the fight.
Okay, so that's that cav gone, but that's fine. We can afford to lose a little bit of cavalry here, honestly. It's this infantry fight that I'm quite worried about, because, oh, is that our general in there? No, it's their general that's in there. That's broken. Okay.
Our men run from the enemy.
Okay, I feel like we can start throwing in the last of our reserves here. We can start charging these guys here. But, kind of want to charge into the... Oh, there we go with the slowdown again. Oh god. Part of the reason that we're fighting very aggressively here, when we probably shouldn't be, is that we do have this timer that we have to worry about. So that means I do need to get through here very fast.
Unit is running from the enemy.
Okay, that dramatic levy should be relatively dead, so... I want to get these guys around, this cav unit, so that we can, we need to get all this cav around here like this, so that we can start, fighting those bows, if we can.
The men are running, cowards.
Okay, so we need to get some units that are just moving towards this, tower here, just because I need that down. Basically. Alright, so they're starting to chain route pretty badly here. Why can I not? There we go. Alright, so let's get our scout equites over there. And these horses, lancers it looks like. They're still alive somehow.
Running.
Well, whatever the hell.
Fight, damn you.
We're just going to grab a couple units of cohorts to come around as a flanking maneuver instead of throwing them head on, because most of our guys are being moved head on. Alright. We want to make sure that all our cav is trying to hit different units of bows. So let's get these guys over there. Let's get these guys in there. We should have another war cry, so that's gonna... Okay, yeah, that worked.
A unit is running from the enemy.
I don't know why those units like way back there that aren't even in combat are running, but
A glorious victory will soon be yours.
okay, I don't actually know where their other general is. So I'm going to have to just end battle here before I take too many more casualties, but that went okay. I think we might have actually killed their other general already, but I don't know for sure. So we killed 2,551, we only lost 1,660. That's actually a lot of deaths, but I mean, I don't actually mind that too much. I mean, it's not enough that I'm going to be worried about it. Yep, their secondary general did die, and that's their other general dead. So that's going to be both of their people, which is what we needed to happen. Looks like we've taken a lot of casualties, but I mean, we only actually lost one unit, and it was a mercenary unit. Their entire armies are all gone now, so that's perfectly fine. We can recover 14% of our forces by occupying Mitrawa, which is what we're going to do. Alright. And they're eliminated as a faction now, so that's what we wanted to see. We're going to get another 2 units of Germanic Levy here, since there must be a wandering Germanic tribe around here or something. But, or it could actually just be because of the region. Not entirely sure. We're going to go ahead and just level up those 2 basic abilities here, and we're going to have this guy heading back over to Savaria, where he's going to start moving towards the Vandals, who are raiding their way through the countryside. And if I can get to Uvivum or whatever, that would be fantastic. We're going to go ahead and disband all of these mercenary units because they're just too expensive to maintain. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and that's going to get a little bit more of our income back. So also we do want to at least recruit 1 unit at all times, just so that we are in the stance of mustering, which increases our replenishment rate by quite a bit. So it's a good idea to do that. We could increase it just by recruiting more for the purpose of just getting more units in general. I probably will, so we'll go ahead and do that. But let's go ahead and look at the other thing that we have to sort of look into dealing with, and that's these Caledonians, these bastards here. So again, we're going to look into the mercenaries that are available to us. We do have this Celtic onager, which is very important. But we're going to first off see if we can get into a fight with them without them running away, so that we can kill this army and then move on to Eildon. In all likelihood, they're going to move, though, so let's go ahead and cancel move, actually. We want to do this the proper way. Caledonians, they're not at war with anybody, so we cannot join the war. So they're also not allied with anybody, though, so that's less important. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and declare war. We're not going to bring our allies into this. Alright, so now at war with the Caledonians, and again, what you want to do when you do this style of war is find anyone who's not at war, and see if they're willing to join your war against those guys. Those guys are not willing to join on that. The Armenians, I don't think that they even can. So, the Bastarnians, however, might.
We will talk and then we will feast until our...
No, okay, interesting. Abdanians,
Welcome.
they almost definitely will not.
Come on. Do not waste time.
Oh, wow, they did. Okay, so the Abdanians are going to like us more for conducting this war, which is a little bit strange, but,
Speak quickly and well.
you know, whatever.
Speak ill slowly and I may feed.
Alright, and, they're at war. The Huns are at war with a lot of people already. Those guys are at war with a couple people already. People who are already at war, of course, don't tend to join you with wars. Alright, Markomans.
I have little gain in wasting the day on you. What you say?
Alright, so these guys, we're going to end up getting them to like us a tiny bit more. And this is a very slow process, but you do it because you do want that extra bit of diplomacy. Doesn't matter what the Picts think of us all that much, but we'll try it anyway.
Speak quickly and well.
Join our war against the Caledonians. No. Alright. So, we've done everything we can diplomatically, so we can get in the fight now, which is fine. They've moved in a slightly strange way that I don't particularly like. You know, they're sort of in these woods here or something like this. They've got a fairly weak army, but I'm going to go ahead and pick up a couple of these cheap mercenaries anyway. And we're going to get the onager because we're going to be using it regardless, so that's all I'm going to get for now, though. Let's go ahead and attack here. And this one I'm just going to auto-resolve. It doesn't really matter since I'll automatically destroy their army. They can't do anything about that because I've got them on the run once. So once they've run once, they aren't allowed to run again. So that's going to be decisive, good, and these guys absorbed a lot of casualties, which is good. We'll replenish our units.
You have further orders?
And that's their army dead. A chevron for us of experience. Alright. And we're going to go ahead and upgrade this guy before we go ahead and attack the next place. When we just use that upgrade, it makes him a little bit better in this combat. And let's see here. They've got 6 units, and they're going to have I can't remember what their garrison detail is going to be, but it's going to be about 4 3 units. So we're going to be able to auto-resolve this highly favorably. So again, we're not going to worry about that. Actually, they don't have a garrison. Huh. Right. Well, either way, we're going to auto-resolve this battle again, and this is going to be just a balanced attack. And that's going to destroy the faction. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and occupy Eldon.
Waiting for orders.
And that is lovely. So let's go ahead and repair these buildings here. We don't want this place being... actually, this one's a farmstead. Now, we can just keep this as it is, because it's okay. It's not a terribly bad building. We can't actually use it, though. What we need to do is actually dismantle it, which will give us a little bit of money, and then we have to repurpose it as a Roman farm. We're going to actually keep these mercenary Celtic bands just because they're lower upkeep than my own units, and they actually are okay in combat. I mean, the thing about mercenaries is that normally they're so expensive to keep, but these ones actually aren't terrible, and their melee attack is something that I just don't have normally. Their defense and armor are extremely poor, but that makes these guys not terrible for a flanking sort of sword force. So keeping them out in the wings is actually pretty a good idea for their cost. We're going to go ahead and take the integrity boost, and then we're also going to take logistics because we want that extra replenishment. So we need a little bit of a mix of both of those sorts of things. So in this particular case, I think I'll destroy the farmstead because I don't have any food consumption in this province yet. We'll switch that around a little bit later. Now, this is where things get a little bit sort of janky and a little bit hard to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to recruit more of these spear units, but we're also going to go ahead and join Saguntum, and we're going to go ahead and raise forces. We're going to raise a fleet. I didn't pay enough attention to who I was raising, but that is fine. And we're going to go ahead and get a ram ship. Now, the reason that we're doing this is that we're going to be attacking the Abdanians next turn. And I can't force march this army close enough to here to actually do that. So what we're going to hope for is that we can get one of their armies, their garrison, and their fleet all in one sort of decisive blow. What we'll also be getting is probably some mercenary ships, which is going to really bolster those numbers. And there's no mercenaries here. There's no mercenaries in that province, so that's going to be a little bit difficult. But either way, that's kind of everything that we can afford to do this particular turn, which is quite a bit. We've managed to accomplish quite a lot. Our income has dropped quite catastrophically. One of the reasons that this has been happening is that we've captured 2 provinces, and if we go in here, we can see that our corruption has gone... Well, actually, it stayed about the same, so I'm not entirely sure why it dropped as much as it did. Part of the reason, of course, is that we've got more troops now, but I mean, it should not have dropped quite as much as it did. Still, you know, that's part of the problem that you run into when you're building your empire up. So, anyway, well, actually, we know we could start reforming our armies a tiny bit by consolidating some of our units together. I forgot to actually remove these guys over here, so we're just going to move these guys right beside those Swabians. We forgot to recruit, but we can actually get away with... I know that the Ostrogoths are to the south, but I don't know if that's all the Ostrogoths. So I can get away with a little bit of recruitment from these Swabians, so... Germanic hurlers are actually an excellent thing. Germanic levy are nice and cheap. So, yeah, I mean... we just need enough of an army that we can outnumber and outmatch the Swabians in our next turn. So either way, this has been a pretty early turns. You can see that I'm very, very aggressive. I mean, we have to make sure that the Picts here, and now that we've destroyed that faction, we have to go back into here, and this is why this is a slow process. I mean, the Abdanians still hate us, but I mean, they probably hate us a little bit less because we wiped out one of their enemies, their air quotes enemies. So you can see that their status on us is actually improving. The important one is actually the Markomans, because we destroyed one of their enemies. Their relationship with us is also improving, the Lugians, etc., etc. Next turn we'll declare war on the Abdanians, and we'll see if that helps us at all. There's also pretty good odds that one of these armies is going to move off somewhere. And at that point, you know, it becomes a little bit easier to pounce on them, but at the same time, we want to try and destroy all of those army stacks at the same time, which is going to be hard because of their numbers. I mean, we don't actually want to be fighting all of those stacks at the same time, but at the same time, we kind of do. Like, it's a 50-50 sort of trade-up. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be just a very, very early look at how to deal with your borders. And the reason that we're doing this is once we've taken all of Britain, we've taken Eblana, we've taken Tuasis, and we've taken Eldon. That unites this sort of entire island in our favor, and all we'll have to deal with is like a lot of rebellions. This island does rebel a lot, but we're not going to have big stacks of invading forces. The rebellions are actually quite manageable. We just have to make sure that we focus our building constructions and efforts on improving the happiness of the region around us. And in particular, also, we kind of want to spread Christianity around here. But you can see that that's sort of what we're working on. That's what we've sort of started working towards. Upgrading this to a Latin shrine in the central province of Britannia Inferior is a good idea, for example, for that reason, because it'll start spreading Christianity elsewhere and everywhere else. And, I mean, you need to spread Christianity pretty hard here. If we look here, Latin Christian going up, but I mean there's a lot of Celtic paganism in this region that we have to chew through to get rid of that -3. And I mean we've got other places that are sort of like that. This guy is still moving. Where's our other monk? He's still also moving. We do only have 2. No, we do have all 3. Okay, we do have all 3. Let's see, and this guy, yeah, I think he was moving up to, yeah, up to here. So that's all 3 of them. Alright, and the last thing that we have to look towards, one of the interesting things was that he failed to actually adopt anybody, but he actually is like, I want to marry this person, and I'm like, okay. So I ended up getting a person who moved into the family. He's going to try and adopt the person that this guy failed to adopt. And yeah, we're just really dead set on getting Flavius Neoterus into the family. So that's going to delay something that I like to do this turn normally. So we've got a couple generals that are kind of like level 2 or whatever, and we've also got a couple that are like level 1 but have a lot of influence. So for example, Flavius Stilicho could get into office, probably. But basically, we want to start promoting people into office so that we can get the decreased recruitment cost. But that will wait for next turn so that we can get everybody that we want doing that. So, in any event, yeah, lots of little things that we've done here, lots of fiddly bits that we had to work through. But I hope you found this episode enjoyable, and of course, as always, I hope to see you all next time.